So Marcus Rashford has given an interview with Gary Lineker and Micah Richards on the Rest is Football platform. And actually, I like that platform. It's one of my favorite platforms to watch out there. Obviously, there's a lot of platforms out there from X-Plays and whatnot. And there's not many that I like. But the Rest is Football, I got time for them. You know, Micah Richards, Alan Shearer, and Gary Lineker. One of the GOATs, man. One of the GOATs in this industry. Massive, massive respect. I watched the interview, but obviously the parts that everybody talks about are the main parts, and especially the part about Manchester United. Now, if you live under a rock, Rashford in Barcelona was visited by Micah Richards and Gary Lineker, and they spoke about a few topics in an interview that they posted on YouTube. And it was quite interesting. It was quite interesting to see and hear what Rashford had to say. So let's dive straight into it, man. Now, when it comes to the part about Manchester United, I'm guessing you've all seen the clips. I'm guessing you've all heard what Rashford said. Didn't really mention names like that, but I think we can all conclude and agree that he was talking about the board, the direction, and where the club was going in terms of, you know, people been saying we're in a transition for years, but in order to be in a transition, you have to start the transition, all of that stuff. What I took from that specific part, I can see positives and I can also see negatives. I don't believe that you should, personally, I don't believe having watched that there are only positives. I believe you can take some positives and some negatives. The positives, I would say, obviously, he's away from Manchester United now. He plays for Barcelona, one of the biggest clubs in the world, and he looks well. You know, he looks well. He plays well. I've seen some of the stuff that he does in pre-season. I've watched the last game that they played against Como. He looked really sharp. He looks good. You know, he looks good, and I'm happy about that because I did say I want him to do well. It's good that he speaks out because it shows that, you know, players are not oblivious to what's happening at board level. They're not oblivious to what's happening in and around the club. Like, they're in it, so they should know. So it's a good thing that he speaks out. Now, another thing I do want to stress, or I do want to highlight, is that he does seem to be speaking very well, because the last time I heard him speak on I'm not going to say a panel, but when he went on LeBron's show, for example, on The Shop, a lot of the stuff that he was saying was kind of, it didn't make sense like that. He was looking for words and he was stumbling over his words a little bit, like he wouldn't really understand or couldn't really understand what he was saying. And sometimes he would even say stuff that people on the panel didn't really agree with. So, for example, Daniel Kaluuya had to correct him on certain things. But now, with Gary Lineker and Micah Richards, he seemed to be speaking, you know, with passion, especially when he spoke about that United stuff. It looked like he spoke with passion and he really cares, you know. You know how people say, oh, he gets it. Rashford gets it. I mean, it's evident. He's a Manchester boy, born and raised, grew up in Carrington. Like, he understands what it is to be a Man United player. He understands it. Now, on to the less positive parts, or what I deem as less positive from that specific part. Without being disrespectful, has he delivered the right message? Absolutely. Was he wrong for saying what he said? Not at all. Was he right about everything he said? Absolutely. Is he the right messenger? Now we're going to have some conversations, because I don't believe he is. Because, you know, rightfully so, he speaks about the direction going into the board, going into different directions. Like, where do you want to go? This manager, that manager. Then you sack this one, then you sack another one. I agree. But this is where I now come in and I say, yes, at board level, they've been messing up. But every time you cross that line, that white line to go onto the pitch, it's not about the owners anymore. It's about you, your teammates, and trying to do what's best to win a game of football. And unfortunately, more than a couple of times with Rashford, it's not been the case. I know people are going to throw the famous stat at me, 30 goals a season. That's a while ago now. After that, we've never really seen performances the way we should. You know, I always talk about the fact that someone who spends 10 seasons in the Premier League, someone as prominent and someone as known and as talked about as Rashford, should be in the 100 club. And he's not, unfortunately, for some reason. The performances have just not been up to the level required for Manchester United, whether the board is messing up or not. Big players perform week in, week out. You leave it all out on the pitch, like, you know, some fans like to say. And more often than not, unfortunately, it's not been the case with Rashford. So I understand where he's coming from, and I understand because he did say it hurts not just from a player's perspective, but from a fan's perspective. And I hear that. I understand. But from a player's perspective, because of those performances, it makes it hard for me to fully agree with him. I agree with him to a certain extent, but it makes it hard for me to fully agree with what he's saying. And the way he's talking, I'm just going to say it. It comes across as if he finally understands, oh, this might be my last chance at the top level. Because let's be honest, did we really think that a move to Barcelona was on the cards? No, not really. In fact, I'm reading before I watched the Super Cup, because I'm recording this after the Super Cup, PSG won. I read that Rashford still can't be registered, and Barcelona still have problems to register players. So did we think that a move to Barca was really on the cards? No, not really. But obviously he's there now, so that's a story for a different day. So yeah, that's my overall feeling, man. I've got the feeling like Rashford finally understands where he's at, and he finally understands that this might be his last chance at the top level. That's why he's speaking with such maturity. Like, he's really matured in the way he speaks. I just wonder. See, I'm thinking as I'm speaking. I'm thinking. I just wonder about all of the interviews he's made. You know, I think about the one where I think it was the players something. I can't remember. Please correct me in the comments. Towards the end of that interview, he was like, if you're with me, then cool. If you're not. And then nothing came after that. Now this interview is out. What's going to come during the season? Because obviously, as a neutral, I don't wish that. But if the season is poor, people are going to look back at this interview and go, well, you see, it was just all talk. So I don't know. And a lot of people managed to take this and spin it and say, you see, he should have stayed. You see, we could have gotten more out of him. And people seem to forget that he initiated the fact that he wanted a new challenge. Nobody forced him to say that. He wanted it himself. So, again, I fully understand the fact that he's coming out passionately and talking about the club because he cares. And I can see that he cares. But again, respectfully, I have to say, right message, wrong messenger. Because if there's anyone in this world that played for Man United before that can come out and speak like that, it's Ronaldo. And we all remember his interview and the way he spoke and the way he was criticizing the club and the board and everything, the facilities, blah, blah, blah. We remember. And you know what? As much as I hated on that interview, I have to hold my hands up. I was the biggest hater. I sat back and I went, you know what? He's allowed to say all of that because it's Cristiano Ronaldo. He has been at the pinnacle, arguably still is, at the pinnacle of this sport that we all love. I'm sorry, but Rashford is not. So I don't know if he's in a position to be saying these things. Now, bear in mind, he said nothing new, by the way. We've been knowing this. Problems at the club, board level, what direction are we going in, transition. We've been knowing these things. This is nothing new. It's just, blown up because it's Rashford talking about these things. We didn't really expect Rashford to ever come out and speak about these things. And in terms of the whole transition thing, I think the transition, and I did say it, I've openly said it and I'll still say it. This club won't get closer to a Premier League title if they keep Rashford and Bruno Fernandes at this football club. If you look at every big rebuild, every big transition at the football club, big characters and big players leave. That's just what it is. And listen, disclaimer, I'm not trying to compare Pep and Amorim. Please do not kill me in the comments. But when Pep walked in 2008 at Barcelona, he went, Eto'o, Deco, Ronaldinho, I don't want you at my club. Obviously, Eto'o ended up staying. He ended up bagging like 40 goals a season or something, and then they won the sextuple. But he openly came out and said, Ronaldinho, Deco, I don't want you. Big players or big characters have to move sometimes in order to start a rebuild. Sometimes you have to take a big loss in order to rebuild again. And I've been saying it. And every time, and I don't want to be that guy that says, oh, I told you so, but I did tell you so. So unfortunately, even though Rashford is talking about transition, he's not going to be here to live it. He's not going to be here to witness it, the transition, which I believe is starting now. Look at the forwards we managed to get in. If Rashford was still at the club, I don't believe we get 2 of the forwards in of the 3 that came in. Sesko, Mbeumo, Cunha. I believe only 1 comes in if Rashford was still here. So I think that's my overall feeling on that. Again, I'm not hating. This is just an overall feeling. I'm just questioning a lot of stuff, because there's a recurrent pattern. There's a lot of talk in the media. There's a lot of talk in interviews. But now it needs to be on the pitch as well. And as a neutral, I want to see him do well at Barcelona. I want to see him do well. Unfortunately, at Man United, it's not been the case. The performances haven't been up to the level. His overall gameplay has weakened. The numbers, they're there to be seen. They speak for themselves. They haven't been good. So, this is why I say right message, absolutely. Wrong messenger as well. That has to be said. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comment section below, people. I'm probably going to get killed for this in the comments, but you guys know me. I don't shy away from saying what I think in the most respectful way, of course. And even that rubs people the wrong way, but hey-ho, I can't please anyone. Can't please everyone. But that's my overall feeling on Rashford, man. But anyway, I wish him all the best at Barcelona, man. I'll be watching him throughout the season anyway. I'll be watching a lot of Barcelona games because, there's a certain broadcaster that announced that they're going to be showing La Liga games. So I'll be watching them for sure. Who knows? I might even be traveling to Barcelona to watch the game. But anyway, let me know what you think. Like, share, comment, subscribe. It's road to 20K, closing in on 18. The Premier League is back. I can't wait. And it will be so good. Anyway, like, share, comment, subscribe. And I'm out, people. Peace.